This is nice.
I think what really impressed him was the fact that I didn't turn into a monster.
Bring on the heat! Start up the gunfire! Weapon down!
It's about a relationship that hopefully many people can relate to.
Enjoy your favorite HBO original series and movies with
Centaur, your kind of company.
Sign up for Smart Share Plan and save big. Whether you're a small entrepreneur starting up your business, a student on a limited budget, or a family trying to save, this is the plan for you. With unlimited SMS, calls, and data, we help you save. Get up to 5 lines for as low as $30 per line monthly, only with Smart. Sign up today at any Smart showroom or sales manager countrywide. So get your business going, share more memories with friends, and be ready for the day with Smart.
This is our best chance to find a habitable planet.
You're shooting the bullet. You're catching it.
Arrakis is a death trap.
Enjoy your favorite HBO original series and movies with
Centaur, your kind of company.
Indulge the flavor. Go beyond meat. Looks like meat. Tastes like meat. But it's better than meat. 100% plant-based. Rich in protein, 50% less saturated fat, no GMOs, no added soy, packed with benefits and sustainable. Beyond meat, good for you, good for the environment. Now available in 6 different types of products in Belize. Beyond burger, beyond sausage, beyond beef, beyond chicken nuggets, beyond chicken tenders, beyond steak, beyond meat, distributed by United Distributors Limited.
LG dual inverter compressor cools air faster by operating at speeds as high as 120 Hz with more stability compared to conventional models. It also saves up to 70% more energy by operating at speeds as low as 10 Hz with more stability. It reduces torque vibration down to 40% for quiet outdoor unit operation. Stable operation with low vibrations also results in increased durability.
Smart introduces Real Unlimited Postpaid Plans, providing customers with unlimited talk, unlimited text, and unlimited data. Now that's a real great deal. With Smart Plus, Share 1 and 2, and Enterprise 1 and 2 plans, you can talk as much as you want, text as much as you want, and for the first time ever in Belize, you can enjoy unlimited data with your postpaid plan. So come in and sign up for an unlimited postpaid plan and enjoy limitless possibilities. In addition, other plans such as the Flex Junior, Choice, and Select have been boosted with a lot more talk, text, and data, providing you with the best value for your budget. Be unlimited with Smart. It's time to power your dollar with Smart.
¡Es hoy! ¡Por fin es hoy!
A rodar.
esto va a estar bueno.
That'll be $50. Thank you. Wait, hey, this 50 is a fake. How do you know it's a fake?
What are you talking about, sir? How can I identify a genuine note from a fake note?
Well, a genuine 50 has a watermark with the Jaguar and the written words of the 50, also a thread.
Know your money and know a fake one when you see it. Do not rely on any one security feature. Look for the clarity and quality of printing. The printed lines and colors should be sharp and clear. Feel the quality of the paper and the raised print. Hold the note up to the light to see the windowed security thread. It should form one complete line when held up to the light. The watermark and denominational electrotype. The Jaguar is the watermark in the $100 and $50 notes. The Sleeping Giant is the watermark in the $20, $10, $5, and $2 notes. The see-through feature. The parts of the design printed on the back should fit exactly within the unprinted areas of the front to form the complete design. Check the $100 note for the toucan hologram with the periwinkle flower overprint. Tilt it to see the small images of the toucan and the numeral 100. Check the $50 note for the green foil angelfish. Check even closer. Use an ultraviolet light to see the fluorescent features. Use a magnifier to see the microlettering. Tiny letters that read Central Bank of Belize and the value of the note. Stop the circulation of counterfeit Belize currency notes. Pass all counterfeits to the police at once. It is a criminal offense to hold or use a counterfeit. Be safe, be sure, know your money.
Good evening with your news on simulcast and Face FM 106.7. I am Joanna Rodriguez. The body of 6-month-old Anita McFarland still remains at the morgue. We had been reporting since Friday on this incident that had experienced David Roy McFarland and Stephanie McFarland up in arms with the Ministry of Health and Wellness after the baby died shortly after receiving medical care at the Corozal Community Hospital on Tuesday evening. The McFarlands alleged that Anita died after being nebulized twice in a span of 15 minutes. As such, they claim negligence on behalf of those involved in the medical response of their child at the Corozal Community Hospital. This serious allegation and the death of the 6-month-old baby girl is being investigated by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Yesterday, Anita's parents called us to say that a CIB officer contacted them to indicate that on Tuesday a second post-mortem examination will be performed by a second pathologist, but that never happened. Via a WhatsApp message, McFarland's told us, quote, "They say that probably they will release our baby tomorrow or Thursday because one of the pathologists is sick and the other is on vacation," unquote. The First Lady of Mexico, Dr. Beatriz Gutierrez Muyer, paid a short yet special visit to Belize earlier this morning. This caused traffic in the old capital to come to a sudden halt for over 2 hours, impeding many persons from getting to their morning destination on time, be it work, leisure, or school. But for security purposes for Dr. Beatriz Gutierrez, it was imperative. She had come to Belize to hand over a special equipment through the recovery of historical records in Latin America and the Caribbean, a program directed by a Mexicana from the government of Mexico. She was welcomed by Prime Minister of Belize, Honorable John Briceño, and his wife, Special Envoy Rosana Briceño, along with other government officials. For Dr. Beatriz Gutierrez, this moment was special, and she took the podium for a short while to share words on behalf of the government and people of Mexico. As we told you, she brought along a special gift, a high-tech scanner that will be useful in archiving our history as a nation.
All nations have their own story, and that story explains especially what we had, or the problems we had to surface, and how we became to this present time, for example, and writes a way to understand the future. So history is not only a social discipline, una disciplina social. History is a teacher. Don't forget that. So everything you have here in your country, very ancient, not that much. For example, this historical house we visit, it's beautiful. And maybe somebody goes and says, oh, what a nice house. But that house has a past and has an explanation about the history of this country. Un objeto como este scanner will allow your archive or your library that everything you have inside, which is a treasure, can be preserved, especially in these kind of countries, very tropical, with a lot of problems with humidity. We don't want to have bad thinkings, but it has happened that most of the archives in the Caribbean or for example, Mexico, states of Gulf of Mexico, Tabasco, lost his archive because humidity and hurricanes and other meteorological success or events that we are prepared to live, but we need to preserve because it's our history, our common history. So this little artifact will let you to preserve what you have for any circumstance that has nothing to do with your voluntary or your wish, because I don't think nadie quiere destruir su pasado, romperlo, no, hay que cuidarlo. Este tipo de aparatos permitirían que en un extraño caso donde esa biblioteca, ese archivo se ve en peligro, tengamos un testigo por lo menos.
For the wife of the Prime Minister, Special Envoy Rosana Briceño, preserving our heritage is of utmost importance as it is critical for our future development.
Even though this is a very short visit, it is a significant one. Historic preservation is a deep and meaningful conversation about our past, which in turn influences key aspects of our future. It is an opportunity for future generations to understand and appreciate the significant events, people, and stories that shape Belize's history. Staff at the National Institute of Culture and History, the Belize Archives and Records Service, the National Library Service, and the Museum of Belize are tasked with responding to the significant question, what is important in our history? They grapple with decisions about ensuring that important parts of our past are preserved for the future.
This scanner comes at a time when culture and history are at the pinnacle for safeguarding our textual history, a history that uniforms the Belizean society as a unique blended nation. CEO in the Ministry of Education reiterated the importance of having events like today's, especially with partners and neighbors like Mexico, who has been instrumental in the development and preservation of Belizean history.
A visit like this serves to reinforce, to cement actually the over 40 years of really excellent relationship between Belize and Mexico. We're grateful especially for the acknowledgement of this we're grateful for this gift. We're grateful for the fact that what it does is it recognizes the importance of protecting, preserving our history. But I think that the mariachis were really symbolic because that was the exclamation point to why we have to recognize history, why we have to preserve history, why we have to document history, and why we recognize culture. As an aside, I'll tell you all that UNESCO and a team are working toward the quadrennial periodic report for the protection and promotion of diversity of cultural expression. And they worked 4 days last week on preparing for this, and this is something that's going to be ongoing now. And I think, being here at our House of Culture, here where our government house is, recognizing that our culture is important to us, we have to do more, not just to acknowledge it, but to protect and preserve it. And here are our neighbors saying the same thing to us. A gift like the scanner is going to go a long way. The archives has so many documents from the 1800s that need to be scanned and properly preserved. A donation like this is well over $30,000 for the machine itself. To have the training, the technical capacity building that goes along with it is really important. Just now, our Museum of Belize has 5 projects that they can think about that they need a scanner for right off the bat. So the areas of our Ministry of Culture will definitely need to be working together here. And yes, it's going to be difficult to share a scanner, but this is a scanner that we didn't have before.
The Ministry of Education, Culture, Science and Technology plans to acquire at least 1 more scanner by the end of the year. The month of April is celebrated around the globe as Autism Awareness Month, which began back in 2007 by the United Nations in an effort to shine a bright light on autism as a growing global health crisis. Autism is characterized as a complex brain disorder that often inhibits a person's ability to communicate, respond to surroundings, and form relationships with others. In celebration of Autism Month, activities are being held across the country led by Autism Belize. This young organization is creating awareness, bringing the needs of autistic people and their families to the forefront of discussions around inclusivity. This morning, the founder and executive chair of Autism Belize, Christy Castillo Almeida, visited our morning show to share more about the acceptance, understanding, and education of autism.
It is a neurological developmental disorder. So autistics, we try and identify it in young children, but it is a lifelong disorder. So we have autistics who are babies, who are teenagers, who are young adults, who are adults. It lasts the lifetime of someone, and it does affect the communication. And that's not just verbal communication, that's how they interact with people. Some autistics will have problems with like nuances of language, eye contact, understanding sarcasm, body language, that sort of thing. And then also the very restricted interests and repetitive behaviors. And that's actually why like Google is the highest employer of autistics. They prefer to hire people with autism because they get so focused generally. Once they get focused on something, they want to work at it, learn everything about it. And that happens with our kids. So our kids who might be fascinated, for example, with dinosaurs, they'll want to learn everything and anything about dinosaurs and be able to tell you everything about it. But it does, because it's so restricted of an interest, it does present challenges in the world. When you want to ask someone about their day or what you're learning at school and their only focus might be dinosaurs, for example, that's where some of the challenges lie. Right. There are absolute strengths and benefits to some of these things, but there are the challenges as well. And what we want as an organization is just that Belize is educated to understand that every person with autism is different, that there are struggles, but that they deserve a chance to participate in society, whether that's go to school, hold a job, be a member of a church or an organization, that sort of thing. And so we believe that education will lead to, building this awareness will lead to acceptance and eventually, hopefully, full inclusion.
While it can be a challenge to diagnose a child with autism, in recent years, Almeida says that there has been huge strides in the way autism is diagnosed in Belize.
Diagnosed as early as 16 months. They can, experts can. In this country, it's a little bit more challenging. We don't have a lot of specialists that can diagnose. And I think that those that are here also hesitate on an early diagnosis. So they might tell you that they see signs of autism and encourage you to start working with your child. But it is harder to get an earlier diagnosis here in the country from what I've seen and listening to parents talk. But for toddlers, a bunch of us, the special education officers at the Ministry of Education, all did a STAT training. That's a screening tool for autism in toddlers. And doing that, you can diagnose between like 16, 18 months, and that has an 80% positivity testing. So we can see early signs. If we see kids with speech delay, if we see kids who are only playing with one toy, those that aren't making eye contact, or when you're smiling at them aren't smiling back, who aren't playing appropriately with toys or showing pretend play. You know, a toddler will bring you a phone and go blah, 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 and then give it to you and do that. You're not seeing that interaction. The kids that are naturally socializing or pointing at things, we're seeing some of these signs. That means there's a reason for concern. And what I tell parents is, yes, it's really hard to get an early diagnosis. It's hard to get a diagnosis, period. It costs money, it takes time, it's not an easy process. But if we see these signs, if we see our kids with a developmental delay, they're not developing like other kids at the, you know, there's these checklists that you see. You've got a 2-year-old and they're not doing this and that. And by 2.5, they're still not doing, you know, they're still not speaking properly. They're still not making eye contact. They're still not playing with toys like they should or stacking blocks. Then we know we need to work with them. Whether or not you have that diagnosis, we don't have to go to the A word that early. We can say there is a developmental delay and there are things we can do at home, at school, to work with our toddlers, to work with our 3 and our 4-year-olds, our young ones, to help give them that boost and see if we can help them develop.
Autism is a spectrum disorder, meaning it can manifest very differently in each person. Because of this, there is a wide variation in the support needs of persons living with autism.
If you get a full diagnosis, they'll tell you whether the child is a level 1, level 2, or level 3. A level 1 used to be called Asperger's or high functioning. They will have their challenges, but they are have usually an above average intelligence, and they are able with some support to participate in school, in society, and everything. It doesn't mean that they won't struggle. We know autistics who graduate from college, but might never be able to pass a driver's license test or be able to tie their shoelaces, even though they can do neuroscience stuff. So that is more of a level 1. Level 2 is autism. They'll have more of an average, and they will struggle again with the same sort of areas, but their struggles might be a little bit more. They can go to school, they can learn, they just might need a little bit more support. Then there's our level 3, which used to be known as severe autism. These children that are on the level 3 typically will have a below average intelligence, so they'll struggle more. Some of the behaviors and the problems might be more exacerbated, and that's why they're level 3. I also want to point out that if you take your child and at age 2 get a diagnosis and they tell you your child is level 2, that doesn't necessarily mean that the child will stay at that level for the rest of their life either. With proper intervention, support, therapies, if the parent and the family is working with the child, you can see a child get re-diagnosed at a later age at a level 1. Or if they're not getting the support they need, if they're not getting the socializing, if they're not in school and being involved, you can see a child go from a level 2 to a level 3 or vice versa because of the lack of support. So early intervention is really, really important. Support, having us make the accommodations. These children, as you said, can learn, and so the diagnosis can change over time.
Ensuring that a child with autistic mannerisms receives help early can sometimes be the key to ensure that the condition is controlled and even allow persons to become high-functioning members of the community in the longer run.
What we find with adults on the spectrum is that they learn to manage a lot of their issues if they've had the right support. So you have some that are able to work, go to school, be a part of society, but they are still autistic. They might just know how to manage their issues. So if they don't like loud noises or whatever, they'll make sure they avoid that, or they get, they'll put in earplugs when they go to a parade or something along those lines. Those that have problem with communication might struggle their whole life with it, but they might work at it. So it's like someone who hates public speaking and have fear of that. You practice and so you get better. It doesn't mean that you don't still get that knot in your stomach and you don't struggle with it, but you learn to work with it. And so sometimes people are like, oh, but he's doing so well and he can do this. And I'm like, yeah, but that takes a lot of work, a lot of management, a lot of support. So with time, some of our kids, there's absolute hope that they can, hold down a job and get married and do all these wonderful things. Right. But will they still have struggles? Probably. It just really depends on the support they get and how, especially at a young age, how much we work with them.
Unlike other conditions like Down syndrome, it is impossible to diagnose during pregnancy, and its causes are more difficult to pinpoint even after years of studies.
There is no test that can tell you during pregnancy if your child is autistic. We don't start seeing it until we see them develop, right? Because it's a developmental disorder. So when we see the child starting to fall behind and the different behaviors, that's when we start identifying autism. So it cannot be diagnosed in birth. What causes it is why it's a puzzle. There are environmental factors that contribute. There are, in some cases, genetics. For example, if you have a child with autism, you do have a higher percentage of having a second child with autism, but there have not been able to pinpoint a specific cause. I remember reading one study, I think it was 2021, it wasn't too long ago, where they studied fathers who have the children later in ages, fathers who work with numbers and banking and that sort of thing. They've studied mothers for certain things. So there are a lot of studies going on. With my son, we did genetic testing. They thought maybe he'd have something with the chromosome. They were looking at a chromosome 22, but all his genetic testing came back fine. And so there are lots of studies going on around the world to find out what are the causes, what might be a trigger. But right now, all they can do is tell you it could be a combination of some environmental factors, and genetics can take a part in being autistic. Right. But yeah, no set reason yet. I keep waiting.
To access more information about autism and autism beliefs, you can contact them via their social media pages or at phone number 613-4170. Autism awareness has seen tremendous growth in Belize in recent times, allowing for more resources to be made available for persons living with autism. Working along with different entities, according to Almeida, has allowed access to much needed help. However, more needs to be done to address autism in our country.
The Ministry of Education has a special education unit. They have partnered with Therapy Adventures, who sends down 3 therapists every 6 months. Right now, they have a speech therapist and a behavioral therapist, but they triage because of the numbers are so small. They take the clients who are more severe, who have more problems, and they do have a wait list. There is Therapy Abroad that works mainly out of Cayo. They send speech and language pathologists to the country regularly. I think last year they had something like 16 or 18 groups that came to the country. They work out of Cayo and they do online support as well with some of their clients. Autism Belize works with NGOs in the States like Beyond the Label and Project Speech. So we try and partner our families with therapists in the States for what we call parent coaching. We know our kids won't sit in front of a Zoom camera like this and do the therapy, so we train the parents to work with them. They do like 3 and 6 month cycles. So again, there is a wait list, but we try and get families in. We just ran a program with Happy Ladders, a company out of the US. So I think about 30 of our families with our young children did a 3-month program of parent coaching and training and working on a curriculum to help learn to play and encourage development. And that was very successful. So we're looking to run that again. Mainly, though, we just try and provide parent support and training. So every month we have different trainings. This month we've been working on self-regulation development through play. That's a 3-module training. We've done 2. We have 1 more module to do. But every month we try and have a different training to give teachers and parents the tools and the strategies that they need to work with the child, have them understand if your child is doing this in the classroom or at home, why is he doing this, and how can we work with them with this behavior or whatever he's doing. So we really just focus on parent training. We know we can't provide the services. We don't, Autism Belize is all parents, it's all volunteer, none of us get paid. So we don't have a center where we can provide therapy, but we do try and provide the parent training and the parent support and the teacher training to help give those who are working with their kids the tools to be able to help them develop.
Ensuring that persons living with autism are able to access basic needs, including jobs, according to Almeida, is among the most lacking areas in our country.
Excluding persons with disabilities from the workforce causes countries to lose about 10 to 12% of their GDP, which for Belize, if you look at 2019 numbers pre-COVID, it costs us about $200 million in lost revenue because we exclude persons with disabilities. And it's not just autism. A person with a disability has a very difficult time finding a job, getting a job in this country. If we look at Stella Maris right now, every year we're graduating kids from Stella Maris, and in a class, maybe 1 or 2 can find a job. There really isn't that many opportunities out there. Actually, we have spent the last 7 months, and we've been looking at this. We've interviewed employers who have hired persons with disabilities. We have interviewed persons with disabilities who have been hired. We've interviewed persons with disabilities who have not been hired ever or haven't been able to keep a job. And what we found is that it's hard for them to find a job. And even when employers hire one person with a disability, it tends to be just one person because training can be difficult. They're worried about it. There's a whole list of factors for it. But it is very much a challenge. Is that to say that there's some persons with autism that are working in Belize? Yes. I think those are more high functioning. Those are some of them who didn't get diagnosed until later in life. I had a wonderful conversation with a young lady who is autistic and has her own company. She's an entrepreneur, a graphic designer, and she's doing her own thing. She didn't get diagnosed until late in life. So she has been able to manage and figure out how to deal with her struggles and her challenges in her own way and be successful. And her company is successful. But I think those are the few and far between and not the average. And it is something we have to work on as a society, not just for persons with autism, but persons with any disability. It is a challenge to find work here.
Yes.
As Autism Awareness Month slowly winds down, Belizeans are invited to share awareness by wearing blue, which is the color for autism. On Saturday, April 30th, municipalities across the country will also be hosting awareness walks. Here in Orange Walk Town, the Autism Walk will be taking place on Saturday, April 29th at 6 p.m. at the Orange Walk Town Hall.
It is Autism Awareness Month. We're encouraging people to light it up blue. That's put a blue light bulb out, put it on your building, wear blue on Fridays. Blue is a color for autism. We ask people to do this because we want people to question it. If all of a sudden you've got a blue lights on your building, somebody's going to ask, why did you do that? And then you can start the conversation about autism. We also do a countrywide walk that's on April 29th, the last Saturday of the month. It's going to happen in every district. In Orange Walk, I know the Orange Walk Town Council pulls up a fantastic event led by Dorette Pascasio. So they're doing their glow run and the walk in the evening. Most other districts are doing the walk in the morning, but you can stay tuned on our Facebook page. We'll be sharing all these details. Every district will have their event on April 29th. We'll ask you to come out to support. We're also selling t-shirts. Look at how fabulous they look. Autism Belize Let's Walk for the walk for $25. So you can contact us about that. And the students at Stella Maris have made these canvas bags with the Autism Belize logo that we're helping them sell so they can raise money for their sewing skills program. So let's encourage these kids to learn their trade, to be able to get a job. So you can contact us about buying some canvas bags and supporting Stella Maris and those hardworking kids who are trying to learn a trade so that they can get a job when they finish at Stella Maris too. So let's help spread the word. Let's talk about autism. If you work at a company or an organization and want us to come in and talk, we do that for free. Last year, April, I think it was like 22 companies that invited us in. Last year we did Fuentes Pharmacies. This year they're selling the autism awareness bracelets for $3 at the Fuentes Pharmacies. And we're going back in to talk to them again because they want to know and ensure that they know how to engage people with autism, work with them, get them involved. So I know there are Fuentes Pharmacies around Orange Walk. You can go and support them. But any organization, if you want us to come and talk about autism, to talk about how to become more inclusive, hire people with disabilities, any of these topics, we are more than willing to come in and have a conversation with you and your staff and help educate Belize, because we believe that an educated Belize is an accepting Belize, and that's what we want. That's how we become a stronger, more accepting country.
2 tourists from France have been charged for reporting a fake robbery. The couple, 32-year-old Laetitia Ritter and 38-year-old Pierre Fogon, were arraigned in the Belize City Magistrates Court, answering to a single count of mischievous act. They had reported to police that they were robbed while staying at a popular motel. However, when officers began their investigation, the items that the couple said had been stolen were right in their motel room. In court, they both pleaded guilty and were fined $205 each and were ordered to pay forthwith, or they would spend 2 months in prison for default. They managed to make the payment. Coming up next, LEAP once again leaves its mark here in the north. Stay tuned.
Come on!
When hungry or craving, when laughter or tears, enjoy the best snacking or flavors are here. Asadas, bocadas, chiladas, doradas, delicious for snacking, done right and done here.
Done right, done here. Indulge the flavor. Go beyond meat. Looks like meat. Tastes like meat. But it's better than meat. 100% plant-based. Rich in protein, 50% less saturated fat, no GMOs, no added soy, packed with benefits and sustainable. Beyond meat, good for you, good for the environment. Now available in 6 different types of products in Belize. Beyond burger, beyond sausage, beyond beef, beyond chicken nuggets, beyond chicken tenders, beyond steak, beyond meat, distributed by United Distributors Limited.
The Ministry of Education, Culture, Science and Technology has embarked since the start of this school year in the piloting of a new curriculum for schools at the primary and secondary level with the aim of having competence-based education. This should assist in deflating the high number of students who drop out of school. The piloting is necessary in order to allow for a full implementation this coming new school year and also to gather concerns that can help improve the curriculum if necessary, says Diane Mejia, the Chief Executive Officer in the Ministry of Education.
Where are we with that? We are currently working with secondary schools. So since last month, this month into May, the team is visiting high schools across the country, finding out again, what their needs are, what what their perspective is, what their concerns are. Really, it's a lot of looking at the concerns. How do you begin to move toward more competency-based learning? But again, you know, the general atmosphere seems to be positive, right? That people acknowledge the concerns, just what you have to do. So new change is always different, right? So if you can acknowledge the fact that we have concerns, we're not sure about certain things, we need to figure this out. That's where we are. We're figuring things out as we plan for the coming academic year. Remember, this is considered our transition year, especially for the primary schools. So primary schools have been a lot more engaged with secondary schools now. We're just working with them on like the learning outcomes, getting feedback from them and like that. So we're farther ahead of the game with primary than we are with secondary.
The Life Enhancement Association for People, LEAP, is an organization comprised of volunteer specialists from within the U.S. who dedicate their time, expertise, and often their own resources to provide free surgical care to children and adults born with deformities in underdeveloped countries across the world. Throughout the years, LEAP has made its presence known in Belize and has since been instrumental in conducting hundreds of corrective surgeries for Belizeans here in the north. Over the weekend, a group of 28 doctors and health care professionals from Texas, USA, were at the Northern Regional Hospital conducting corrective surgeries to much deserving norteños. LEAP Global has been coming to Belize since 1995 through its partnership with Rotary and the government of Belize, and this year the mission was hosted under the theme Improving the Lives of Fellow Belizeans.
The LEAP Global mission was started since 1995. The partnership between the Rotary Club of Orangeoak and the LEAP Global mission, you know, has been over every year has been able to cater to a little bit over 100 Belizeans. And I know for registrations last up to Friday we had about over 130 Belizeans that had registered. I know over the weekend on Saturday and Sunday they conducted about 32 or more surgeries. The focus of the surgeries were mainly cleft lip, cleft palate, and other deformities of the facial area that they were able to do, and also many skin cancers patients as well. It's a three-way partnership: the Rotary Club for Orangeoak, the LEAP Global Mission, and the government of Belize through the Ministry of Health. And we cannot do this without the support of the government of Belize and the support of the Ministry of Health. Principally because the surgeries are conducted at the Northern Regional Hospital, so we need access to the operating theater, and also support from the staff there, you know, from the nurses, from some doctors that are present there. And also the administrator and the chief of staff. What you saw this weekend is something that takes 3 months to plan. All the permits, all the documentation that needs to be processed, all the logistics that go into play. It's really a large team that really makes this a successful mission.
More than 30 residents received corrective surgeries over the weekend, including children and babies.
Just imagine, we are improving the lives of Belizean citizens. You know, cleft palate and cleft lip babies. If it's not corrected throughout within the next 10 years, especially if you're a newborn, because you have to get a series of surgeries dependent on how serious. Two things that it impeaches. It impeaches your speech, means that you cannot talk properly. And the other one is you can be malnourished because you cannot feed yourself properly because you don't have, your mouth is not suitable. You cannot bite or eat hard stuff. So we are changing people's lives for the better. We correct cross eyes. At this mission, we were not able to assist with cross eyes, but just imagine, they can correct cross eyes. They do the surgery whereby within 3 months after the surgery, you're back to normal and your eyesight is going to have proper vision and it's going to visually look better. So last year, we had a large number of teenagers that came for cross eye surgery that benefit. So I mean that is the main reward that we have to acknowledge and we accept, and that keeps us motivated to continue to build this program, is to see how it's going to change people's lives for the better.
The LEAP Global Mission will return on the 3rd to the 5th of November 2023 to provide more free medical services and surgeries. As we narrow in on 2023 third Earth Day celebration on April 22nd, more and more collective response seems to be the game changer and the vehicle to transmit the right message to spread awareness about saving the planet. In Corozal, the Department of Youth Services is joining with Oceana Belize and the Corozal Sports Council to celebrate what they term Earth Day Youth Festival this coming Saturday in Corozal Town.
Earth Day Youth Festival is two different planning activities that came together. The Department of Youth Services started a planning of doing a historical landmark scavenger hunt. I came to my stakeholders in Corozal District, namely Oceana, Corozal Sports Council, Corozal House of Culture, the Corozal Town Council, and they were already planning an event for Earth Day, since we celebrate Earth Day on the 22nd of April as well. So we merged both activities from the both different departments, and that is how we came about with Earth Day Youth Fest. We will be commemorating Earth Day, and at the same time, we will be engaging our young people in the Corozal district. Throughout the day, we are having the scavenger hunt. That is for young people ages 12 to 29. Each team should have 8 members. There is a limited space for 10 teams. And then we have the under 20 football marathon. It's a 5-a-side marathon, so there's 8 persons per team, and it's under 20 male football marathon. We also are having our business expo at the Andres Campos Civic Center as well, where we invite youth entrepreneurs and other businesses who would like to be out there with us celebrating this day, having or promoting what they do.
How do they register?
To register for the scavenger hunt, you can register with the House of Culture in Corozal Town. And to register for the under 20 football marathon, you register at the Corozal Sports Council.
To commemorate this bond, other entities like the Corozal Town Council, the National Institute of Culture and History, and the Corozal House of Culture have also jumped on board to show love for planet Earth. Lima says the day is promised to be a family event where everyone can be a part of a momentous day, as is Earth Day.
When it comes to the Department of Youth Services doing the scavenger hunt, we're also having a under 20 football marathon. We are engaging young people to teamwork, team building, conflict management skills. Since in the scavenger hunt, they will need to answer questions. They will need to figure out their clues to get to their next point.
And in terms of Oceana?
And in terms of Oceana, commemorating Earth Day, we are asking everyone who's going to participate for the event to bring along their cups, their water bottles, because we will be having water refills. We're trying to avoid the use of plastic water bags. So that is one of the ways that Oceana and we as well promoting Earth Day.
Again, the lineup of activities begins at 9 a.m. this Saturday at the Corozal Civic Center. If you have a business, this can be a time to showcase your products to the people of Corozal. To do so, contact Zaidi Veos at the Corozal House of Culture at your earliest before the event date. Beverly Wade, Director of the Blue Bonds and Finance Permanence Unit, Office of Prime Minister, and Leroy Martinez, Economist within the Ministry of Economic Development, are participating in the Global Forum on Mainstreaming Nature in Decision being held at Stanford University campus in California, USA, from April 17th to the 19th. This workshop is co-convened in the Inter-American Development Bank and the Natural Capital Project at Stanford to co-develop innovative natural capital approaches with varying governments to be able to change policy and investment outcomes for people and nature. The main objective of the event is part of an ambitious effort to jumpstart science, policy, and investment processes in over 12 countries. It seeks to stimulate crucial discussions on priority natural capital and biodiversity assets, ecosystem, and socioeconomic benefits with the aim to develop tailored roadmaps for policy and finance interventions. Country leaders will work alongside experts from multilateral development banks, Stanford's Natural Capital Project, and other international practitioners focus on transforming policies and investments through mainstreaming rapid natural capital assessment and accounting approaches. The event will also serve as a preparatory convening for the development and execution of new initiatives with funding from climate funds and multilateral partners. During the opening session, both Wade and Martinez presented under the theme Innovation, Opportunities and Challenges in Implementing a Natural Capital Approach in Belize. Both representatives will also be engaging in bilateral meetings to discuss new ideas and financing opportunities for mainstreaming nature in decisions. The National Agri-Trade Show is coming up at the end of April, and the committee that oversees all activities is making sure all the I's are dotted and T's crossed for the event to be successful. One of those things is that the NATS has announced that all food vendors must have a valid food handler certificate. Failure to not having one can impede you from putting up your stall and making some well-deserved cash at one of the most attended events of the year. However, there is good news. The National Agri and Trade Show Committee has also announced that if you don't have the needed document yet, you are then positioned to attend a food handlers training session this Thursday, April 20th at the NATS Showground Main Stage Pavilion. The training starts at 9 a.m. and you are asked to be on time in order to be certified. The NATS is doing this to make sure everyone is certified in handling food for the Agri Trade Show weekend. And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Wednesday, April 19th here on CTV3 and Fiesta FM 106.7. Remember that to read a text version of the news, you can visit our website at ctv3belizenews.com. You can also log on to our Facebook page for current stories at facebook.com/ctv3belizenews or our YouTube channel at CTV3 News BZ. Remember to wash your hands and remain safe. From all of us here at CTV3 News, thank you for watching and listening. Good night.